The IRS has levied your bank account, or your employer has called you to let you know that the IRS is withholding 25% of your paycheck. What do you do? How did you get here? How long is this going to take? And how can you get the levy released? We're going to give you options here. So let's talk about options to release a levy. First of all, let's talk about what the heck is a levy. A levy is when the IRS or the state seizes property because you have not been making any effort in their minds to respond to their notices, keep your payment arrangements, or basically get back in good graces in terms of taking care of your tax debt. So they can levy your bank account, they could levy your paycheck. Basically, it's any type of property seizure which the IRS takes. Here's the deal. They're basically at this point playing hardball. You maybe have been ignoring their notices. Maybe you have moved, not getting their notices. Either way, they're not getting money. So they're letting you know, hey, we know where you are. We know where your assets are. We're now attaching some of them. So in the case of a bank levy, typically it's a federal levy. It hits your bank account. It lasts for 21 days. That doesn't mean the account is frozen for 21 days. It does mean, however, that whatever was in the account on the day the levy was attached now can become part of the IRS's property and not yours. Depends on how much you owed and how much was in the bank on the day of the levy. If you owed 50 grand and there was 4 grand in the bank, they will have taken $4,000. But you can get this levy released. You've got 21 days. So what kind of steps do you take? Well, the IRS must release a levy in certain cases. One would be if you pay the balance in full. Now, I know this sounds absolutely stupid. Like, duh, if I had the money, I'd pay it in full, right? But you'd be amazed at the number of taxpayers I talk to who owe $100,000, $150,000 to the IRS. Oh, they have the money in their cash account or in an investment account or TD Ameritrade. They just don't want to give up the liquidity because it helps them operating their business or investing in real estate. Well, guess what? They've got the money. The IRS says you owe it. And if they pay it to the IRS, the levy is released. Here's another option. If you enter into a monthly pay plan with the IRS, that can release the levy. Now, that pay plan would be for you to pay monthly, and then they would agree to no longer levy your account, garnish your paycheck, and so forth. So that's an option. A third option would be if you can document to the IRS that you are currently living in financial hardship. Now, financial hardship means a lot of things to different people. Financial hardship to you living in Paducah, Kentucky may be completely different from financial hardship to someone living in Boston, Massachusetts, where living costs are much higher. But the IRS has collection standards that basically equate all of these. And if you can document that you cannot pay the taxes without impairing the health and well-being of your family, then you can gain a financial hardship situation where they will put collection efforts on hold. The IRS must also release the levy if the statute of limitations on collections runs out. Did you know that there's a 10-year statute of collections, a statute of limitations, where the IRS can no longer collect on a debt if it's 10 years or older? Now, one note here, do be sure this is an IRS levy and not a state tax levy. Many states do not have statutes of collections. They are not bound by federal law. But if it's a federal levy, it could run out in 10 years. Finally, if you file for bankruptcy, this will create a stay for all of your creditors. They must automatically pull back. And then as it goes through the bankruptcy process, they review, for instance, your tax debt. The bad news about bankruptcy is even though it creates an immediate stay, on the longer term, a lot of your tax debt will not be released by a bankruptcy. An attorney may tell you, we'll just put it in and see what happens. And then later, when it's not releasing the tax debt, the attorney says, well, that was the IRS decision. Well, not really. We know what is released and what's not under bankruptcy when it comes to tax debt. Generally, the older the debt, there are 3 factors basically that determine whether it is going to be permanently released. In most cases, it will not. So that all being said, how long does this take? How long does the process take? It varies depending on your solution. If you've got 100,000 in your bank or TD Ameritrade account, you can pay this tax levy right away and the levy's released. If you go into an installment agreement, you could have the levy released within a matter of hours. Or if it's a more extensive, comprehensive agreement and the amount you owe is in higher dollar volumes, for example, if it's over 100,000, it might take a few days. Whereas if the debt is 100,000 or less, you could have the levy released in hours simply by entering into an agreement. Financial hardship takes a while to establish. You can establish it probably in a matter of days and then get the levy released. But longer term, financial hardship is only a temporary situation. So 3 years from now, the thing may come back. You just don't want to let it extend to the point where the IRS is wanting to set up a new arrangement and you are not responding, so they take you back to the levy situation. A levy really is only because you ignored the IRS letters for whatever reason. A statute of limitations can take a long time. You might be 4 years into the collection period, might be 6 more years. Maybe you don't want to have your levy last that long before it's released. And finally, bankruptcy, as I explained earlier, there's the immediate stay, but longer term, you're probably going to have a problem getting some of this money released. And so you'll still be in a position where you owe the IRS. Here's the real key in resolving any of these problems and releasing a levy, removing a federal tax lien. You have to be very consistent with what you're doing. You probably got into this tax problem by being inconsistent, not answering notices, filing sometimes, not filing other times, making some payments, but not others. Need to establish personal consistency and persistency, because here's the 3 things I will tell you. You're now going to not only have to pay on back taxes, which is the monthly payments, for example, you'll make on your installment agreement. You're also going to have to be diligent about your future taxes by timely filing all returns. And even on the current year that you're living in right now, you're going to begin to need to make estimated quarterly payments and or have enough withheld from your W-2 paycheck so that when you file this year's return, it doesn't land at the desk at the IRS with a balance due. Because guess what? If there's a balance due on this year's return, it will terminate the installment agreement that was covering the back year returns, and then you're in worse position than when you started. So be consistent, be persistent with these efforts. What's next? Well, I don't know what the best option for you is. It really comes down to your tax situation. I would ask you, are all your returns filed? Also, how much can you really afford to pay without impairing the health and well-being of your family? Don't jump into an installment agreement that's unaffordable just because it's what the IRS said you must pay over 72 months, over 84 months. Work for an affordable agreement. If you can document that you can't afford the money that they want monthly, then have a professional help you document that. Also, you may qualify for something we didn't even discuss, which is an offer in compromise. This is where you can settle with the IRS for less than you owe because you prove that you're living within certain means, but you can't afford payments. It is now a solution based more on your money rather than on what you owe. So if you need help or have questions when it comes to releasing a bank levy, please contact me. You can do this through my bit.ly link. Go online and just type into the browser bit.ly/contact Anchorman. That'll immediately put you in touch with me, or just call and we can schedule a free consult so we can see what is the best next move for you. I'm Jim Flaus. I help taxpayers in trouble with the IRS to get a fresh start. If I can help you, please reach out to me. Hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.